There is a streamer, Canada's dating coach, and I've been wanting to do a promo for her for a while. And I'm kind of collecting various sources of leaders, of people that I really respect online and that are streaming and I'm using that experience to gain information, observe, watch, so that I can um, build and go to my next level. And I came across her. Her name is Chantel. She's got multiple books. Highly recommend it. She lays it out for the guys out there, and you'll know what I mean when you go to the channel. If you're what we consider the guys, if you go there, I'd recommend just listening, just listening and acknowledging and having an awareness of self when you get triggered, or if you get defensive, or if you think that she's wrong or you need to prove her right. She does a whole conversation around body count doesn't matter, and she lays it out, and it's pretty powerful. It's kind of indicative of everything that's going on in our country right now and the globe. I recommend going in there and just listening. And then if you want, to call to get support, I recommend doing that too. She streams live. She's got a process that really works, in my opinion. We there we can solve. There is no male loneliness epidemic. There's not. And the reason why I know that is because what I see in being the male loneliness epidemic is that men aren't willing to go in and acknowledge and shift how they relate to the outside circumstances. Men in general, or I should say guys in general, have been conditioned to believe that they are right, to not understand what consent means, to feel threatened by someone else's competence in all ways. Most of the women that I have had the pleasure and privilege of learning from have been extraordinary. My high school theater teacher taught me one of the first lessons, which was don't take things personally. She did it with the lesson was learned through such understanding, compassion, and empathy. I was an emotional kid, a very emotional kid. I'm an emotional adult. My emotions are all over the place, always. As an actor, they said Tennessee Williams wrote, I could not possess my own life until I'd written about it. As an actor, as a human, I couldn't possess my own feelings until I had acted them. That's just the truth. I had access and resources to understand the human experience. Whenever something happens across the planet, I literally go, what if that were me? That's compassion and empathy, which is another lesson that my mom, a woman, taught me. From the get-go, she taught me compassion and empathy. What would it feel like if you'd had this, but you had glass and nails and pins between your joints because she had rheumatoid arthritis? And in order for her to cook dinner, I had to put the dishes away properly. And so she taught me what it would be like and what would it feel like to teach me empathy and compassion with glass and nails between my legs and joints. She did it with compassion. She did it with understanding. Now, my imagination is through the roof. I can empathize. I can have like compassion for people across the globe going, what if that was me? Now, the anyway, so this woman, go check her out, Canada's dating coach. Go in there and listen and just really watch the process and check out where you're getting triggered, and then go in and just acknowledge where those feelings coming up from and see if you can learn from her. Women have taught me so much. I learned from the girls that I was raised with in elementary school. I learned from my dance instructor at HB Actor Studio in New York. The greatest lessons I've learned about living and human compassion and empathy and storytelling have in large part been from women. Now, the men who have taught me, my karate instructor growing up was incredible. These guys, my dad, who led by example of compassion and empathy and understanding and being willing to like move aside the need to be right. And then the my primary acting teacher in New York, Edward Morehouse, who taught me that I get to be me. I get to be me 100%. All of these men that I learned from were so comfortable with their sexuality and their, I hate to use the words masculine, feminine, the yin and the yang. They could fluctuate between both of them. The same with women. The same with the women leaders. There was no force. There was understanding and compassion in all of it. Anyway, check out Canada's dating coach. She's got some gems, and I think that it is the one of the steps in the direction to solving the idea that there is a male loneliness epidemic. If you feel that you're lonely or you feel there's a male loneliness epidemic, I'm not disvalidating or unvalidating those feelings. But what I think is that you've fallen into a belief system that is telling you that there is, that all women are this, or you're being taught and coached something that is not true. The other lessons, and I'll leave this on this because it's getting long. The other lessons I've learned about healing and my trauma of growing up in a Northeast Texas town as a creative, emotional little guy that had a disorientation on who he was and understanding how do I fit in the world as a creative, as an artistic kid, and confused about my sexuality because the society was telling me that I had to be a certain way. Luckily, I was raised in a very loving family, and I had an artistic expression, an artistic avenue to process my emotions, to process to feel like I could contribute to the world in a way that was powerful and necessary. I was mentored by people that they did and accomplished what I wanted to accomplish, and they did it, and then they smiled after it. Take advice from people that have done what you want to do and smile a lot. Just do that. And the women that and I was healed from the trauma that society placed on me, or I should say that triggered my trauma, that I had to be something that I wasn't, to be inside of a compartment of something that was inauthentic to who I was. That created trauma in growing up. Nobody knew it until I came out of the closet. And then I started working toward sharing the light that I naturally and authentically am. It was years later, where queer women made me feel, or created a context in which I could heal from the trauma that I felt growing up about what I had to do and I had to be and who I had to be in a world that was inauthentic to who I was, making me, forcing me, and the trauma and the shame that I had to experience to go through that. The people who helped me, the people that supported me through that, were queer women. So there's a transcendence happening in our country. And I recommend listening to women. I recommend, I mean, not all of them. Some of them, no. Like some of them are part of the system that is, we see women being. Anyway, point is, go follow Canada's dating coach, Chantel. She is fantastic. And follow me for more. Let's go make some magic. Bye.